Good morning, everybody. Gary Webb here, southwestern New Mexico. Bringing you along on another day out in the wilderness. Today I'm out making a circle, scouting for some elk hunters. I'm going to be packing in their gear for them. And so today's mission is to maybe find a few elk and find some water for the guys. Normally this time of year it's usually pretty green, Colorado green, but we are in kind of a drought, another drought. It's rained just enough to barely get a tinge of green here, so I'm really not expecting to find a whole lot of water, but that's what today's mission is. There's really no substitute for wearing out a couple sets of horseshoes, boots on the ground. Lot of guys nowadays want to use trail cameras and satellite images, and really there's no substitute for going and looking, physically going and looking. So anyhow, thought I'd bring you along. I'm taking the rearm around a little bit of the country down the way, but yeah, a lot of times it will have only rained a half an inch, maybe right here, and you go 5 miles over yonder that direction, and they may have had 8 inches of rain. So that's kind of what we're doing today. You can already see it's rained up a little bit more right through here, but this is what you're looking at there is the east fork of the Gila River. And I probably hadn't really disclosed, but I live on the southern edge of the Gila Wilderness, kind of my stomping grounds. So we'll go see what we can find. Alright, here we are, dropping down into the east fork of the river, kind of a steep little spot. You see the river down there. And, we're planning on going up the river a ways and climbing out to the east and hitting some mesa country down there. See what we can find over there. At the bottom here. Yeah, you can tell a lot by how the creeks are flowing. This is what they call Black Canyon, and it does not have a whole lot of water running down it, more than I expected, but kind of tells me it hadn't rained a whole lot up that away. And it looked like the river over here was a little bit murky, which kind of tells me that it showered somewhere up the way. But a lot of times this time of year you'd have trouble crossing this, but it is a little bit on the murky side, so guess it showered somewhere. It's so choked up with willows, I'm just happened to ride right up the creek, and it is a little bit soft. kind of boggy in there, so we climbed out, going around on this old game trail. Down leading for just a minute here. So, stretching my legs. All right, we got wallowed out of the river jungle and are rimming out what used to be a trail. It's not much left of it now. You didn't know it was here, you'd never find it. Kind of an old trail and climbing out of the river there. We will see if we can get rimmed out and keep on checking some more country. I have seen maybe 2 elk tracks so far. But anyhow, glad to be out of that river jungle. A little bit puckery coming around through here. But we're getting climbed out. Yeah, I mean, there's really hundreds of these old trails that are gonna be gone before long. You can see little pieces of it, but it's probably been about a year since I've been up this one, and I bet there hasn't been anybody on it since I was here the last time. But it's not too bad. All right, we made it out to some of this mesa country. Got topped out. Usually a pretty good elk spot, but I suspect it's been a little bit dry for a little bit long and they've left. But we'll go buy a tank up here in a little bit. But used to, back in the 80s, there was a band of 25, 30 head of antelope that ran out here on this mesa and one a little further to the north. Not sure what happened to them, but they've kind of disappeared. But they were kind of cool to see. We'll go check out this tank, which I believe will be dry. Yeah, kind of smoky today. We got a fire burning somewhere. Must be to the north. Sure not seeing any sign as of yet. We'll keep on looking. We are coming up on this tank, and there's just no sign of nothing around here, but there is just a little dab of water, which is surprising. Actually, I'm surprised. But you got to be careful around this water. If you find a little jagged tracks, half a dozen elk can make a lot of tracks around a little water hole like this. The other thing we have a lot of are these Indian ones. I'll show you real quick. We've got a lot of them around here, but this is an old Indian room pit house. You can kind of see the walls of the room here kind of extend over there. And actually, I don't know if you can make it out, but here's a piece of a matati that they kind of broken, and like that. You can see where they ground their corn, but there's hundreds of these things around here. So at some point, it used to be a lot moister here, but we're gonna carry on and work our way off into a deep dark canyon down the way here. I'm surprised there's not more elk using in here without water there, but I think it maybe just caught it in the last week or so. They probably haven't found it yet. We'll carry on. All right, I'm down leading old Speck off this pretty steep hill. There's a spring off down in here that I wanted to check out, and been a while since I've been down through here. I don't think it's that bad. And we'll go see what water there is there and save me from doing some backtracking. Can check some different country on the way back out of here. So that's where we're headed, to the bottom. Down here to this little spring. It's not running a lot right here, but the source is actually about 300, 400 yards up the canyon. It's too rough to get a mule up there, but we're gonna grab a burrito and continue on with our circle. Okay, we made it back down here to the river. Certainly growed up down here. Yeah, letting Speck get a blow here. We're climbing out the other side of the river down there, down below. Working our way up this rocky point here. Kind of some tough sledding, but I think we can make it. Kind of a game trail here. Let's see what we can get into. Yeah, you can go up some pretty incredible and down some pretty incredible stuff if you let them stop and blow, get their wind. And I take it pretty easy. I'll lead part of it to give them a break. But we're in another little dry area. You can see this grass just brown. It isn't even trying to green up. So I don't think it's had hardly any rain. And consequently no sign of nothing around here, so we'll keep rimming up the way. We are about to get rimmed out of here, through the worst of it anyways. It's a warm one today, probably close to 97, 95 I'm guessing. And we have definitely not found a good place to go. I topped out going back through some mesa country, and we haven't found sign of nothing here today, which happens. Don't know till you go look. Alright, finally hit a trail again. Been off the trail most of the day, but we kind of got a trail here now. We're headed off the mountain, back to the truck. Way off down yonder. Probably got about 3 miles to go. Call it a day. We made it back finally. Me and Speck, truck and trailer. About 8 hours worth, approximately 20 miles. Had a good day, but we didn't find too much, did we, Speck? So we'll make another circle. We'll check out a different spot. So get a few things off our saddle. And we're going to call it a day. Try it again. Here me and Mr. Hank are again going to continue on with some more looksies. It's already showered. Different country. Showered a little more. At least it's green right here. So we'll go see what we get into. You know, the Gila's always a pretty dry country here compared to most places, and so typically here in the southwest we'll get 80–90% of our annual precipitation in the form of thunder showers. Kind of during July, August, early September. And a typical year, maybe get 15–18 inches of rain. And and it can be really spotty. And just for an example, there at my house, thus far, we're in the middle of August. Thus far, we've had maybe, well, not maybe, I have a gauge, we've had 2.5 inches of rain there. Down the road, just a couple miles, a neighbor of mine, they've had 4.5 inches of rain. And then 3 miles down the road from them, they've had 10 inches of rain. So it really fluctuates a lot. And I can already tell it's rained a little bit more right here. So we're gonna go check out some other country. And yeah, these drier years are particularly tough on the elk and deer. I think they have a hard enough time raising a calf with all the predators and stuff. Everything's trying to get them. Bears probably being the biggest predator on elk calves, I would say. And we got wolves and coyotes and mountain lion. Everything's trying to get them. We're gonna go down here just a little ways. There's a pretty good wallow. See what kind of sign we find. Yeah, here we are coming up on one of these wallows. Looks like it's pretty dry. Pretty dried out, but not much water in this deal. But there have been a few elk, a few deer kind of using around in here, but again, sign will stack up around these places where something mills around pretty good, but not a good sign that thing's dry. But we'll keep on keeping on. But yeah, we're gonna work our way down this kind of open bottom canyon here. There's usually some water at the very end of it where it kind of boxes up, so we'll see if there's any water maybe down there. Well, we made it down to this little spot. Now, there's been a little more elk sign than we found yesterday, but not a lot. And really, when I'm scouting around, I'm more interested in tracks. The amount of tracks I see, amount of droppings I see. I'm not so interested in actually having to see the animals. Of course, it's great when you do, and we do a lot of times, but I'm really more interested in the actual sign and what I see on the ground. So we're gonna go over to another dirt tank, earthen tank. There is a pretty good couple of pools of water that stuff could water in. But we're gonna go over and check out this other tank, which from what I'm seeing, I'm betting it's dry, but I was wrong yesterday. We'll go see. Coming up on another dirt tank down here, which I have my doubts about having any water, but who knows? We're gonna go see. And she's got nothing. Super dry. Yeah, this is what we out here call a dirt tank, but it's basically a earthen dam that was built here probably, and this was a hole, and this was built probably 75 years ago, maybe something like that, with a bulldozer. You can see how big these pine trees are in here now. And over time, these things will fill in with silt and dirt. Sometimes these dams will wash out, and they basically just live their lifespan. They just don't function anymore. In a good rainy year, yeah, there'll be a little puddle of water in here, but the idea was these were built to water cattle way back, and inadvertently made water for wildlife. And when they were new and functioning, when it would rain, it would store enough water to hopefully last an entire year for whatever was out here drinking it, until the rainy season came again, and then it'd fill it back up if we had decent rains. But nowadays, they just don't function any longer. And that's the thing. A lot of folks come out here in the fall when it's kind of, in a decent rainy year and it's wet. But wildlife needs water 12 months out of the year, not just 7 or 6 or 8. They need it, all the time. And these things, back when, even in my lifetime, would store enough water through the dry times. Some of them go dry or get pretty low, but they've just outlived their lifespan. And it's a shame there ain't some way we can fix these back the way they used to be. But anyhow, pretty dry. So we're gonna go over the way and check out another little spring, Parky Spring area. See what it looks like over there. Yeah, here we are riding up on another one that looks like it was washed out a long time ago. It's been washed out as long as I can remember. It was kind of a wet weather, seepy spring, I guess you could call it here, and I think they were trying to capture some of that water, but it's been washed out from the first time I ever saw this. As you can see, here's the tank dam. Washed out right here. And here's this little seep just here at the head. And I think they tried to use this dam to kind of catch some of this water and back it up. But there's the hole in the dam. Jimmy and Hank want a drink, so. Yep, here we are coming by what's left of a split corral fence. Don't see too many of these anymore from back in the day. But it's just about gone. There's an old corral down here not too far. And another water source, and then we will Yeah, it's archery elk hunt that's fixing to come up here the 1st of September. And bulls right now are, mature bulls are off kind of by themselves or maybe with a buddy. So really all you need to find is sufficient number of cows, and the bulls will find the cows when it becomes time. So that's really all you need to find. Let's see if there's going to be any water down here. Little puddle over there. There has been a few elk water in there, for sure. See. Yeah, I mean, there's a few elk in here, but man, the water is pretty short. Guy would have to filter water out of one of them little seepy holes we've been by today. But I think we can find better, maybe a few numbers of elk more, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed coming along on this elk scouting, water scouting mission. I don't stay on the trails for very much. So until the next time, hope you folks have a great day.